Hey everyone, Retire on Dividends here. Back to make another video, but this one's a little different. We're going to compare PayPal to Square. As you know, yieldmax funds offer many different high income ETFs where they sell covered calls on the underlying stock. So two of them are PayPal and Square. And the ETFs are actually called PYPY and SQY, believe it or not. So I figured, I'd do a comparison of mainly, most of the underlying stocks data, and then we'll take a look at the actual ETFs, and then we'll see which one's better, because both of these have performed pretty well lately. The SQY ETF had a massive distribution payment, so it's hard to really compare truly, but what really matters long term is the underlying sustainable? Is it like at least from my perspective, when I look at the yieldmax funds, the number one thing is the underlying stable? Is this like something I just don't have to worry about? It's going to be around for the next 10-20 years, so I don't even have to look at the earnings report, right? I don't even have to wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh crap, they're going to go out of business. Someone's going to put them out of business. Obviously, there's no, there's never certainty in the market, but you get what I'm saying. You just want them to be, reasonable, I'll say. And then obviously, number two is you want them to have some implied volatility, which would bring up the premium. And if the premium's brought up, you'll get a higher distribution from the yieldmax fund. But anyway, let's talk about the underlyings. So on the screen, I have many tabs. First, we will look at the revenue. So starting from, I went back 3 years. And this is quarterly. So if you look at starting September 30th, 2020, and this is in millions, PayPal had a revenue about 5.4. And then that's versus Square that had about 3. So, overall, obviously PayPal does better than Square. But, if you take a look, what I wanted to compare is how much the revenue increases quarter over quarter. And obviously, you see the first quarter in December, PayPal went up 12%, Square went up 4%. But then the next quarter, Square went up 60%, PayPal went down. Up and down, up and down. And then to the right, what I did is I captured who won, who had a better gain per quarter. Okay. And I highlighted PayPal blue, Square in pink. So the end result, and oh yeah, I also have the gain here. Well, this calculates the total revenue made, 86, this is 86 billion, I believe. And then versus Square, 57 billion. And then 35% represents the total revenue increase from September 30th, 2020 up into September 30th, 2023. So 35% increase overall for PayPal and 85% for Square. So obviously, going down here, I did, who won this comparison? Who won the revenue comparison? Quarter over quarter, it was 6 versus 6. So that was a tie. No real winner there. And then overall gain, PayPal got 35%, as mentioned, and Square got 85%. So Square won that one. But Square was, I think back then, a much smaller company than PayPal was. So they have a lot more room for growth. And you'll see that as we go through these. All right, let's go to the EPS tab. The EPS tab means earning per share. So, and I'm tracking the same period, September 30th, 2020. So if you look at Square, 7 cents per share, PayPal, 86 cents per share. So, we're talking apples and oranges here, right? But, when you look, as you go along and you see the increases, obviously Square went up to 64 cents in the next quarter, 814% increase. I mean, that's ridiculous. And then 2 more quarters, 400% increase. And then 2 more quarters, 1,600% decrease. So Square, this scares me, honestly. earnings per share, obviously it's how much they earn in income, per share, per outstanding share. And it was okay, 7 cents, 64 cents, okay, down to 8 cents, down to, up to 40 cents. That wasn't a penny, by the way. I had to plug that in because zero wasn't working for the formula, but it was in reality zero. And then look at all these negative earnings per share. And I know what everyone will say, well, Tesla, back in the day, Tesla, Amazon, same boat, right? They weren't really making any money, but I don't know. It's just something I'm not going to buy. It's one thing to buy Square and hope for it to go up, but then it's another thing to buy an ETF that relies on the underlying Square to go up. So this, not going to lie, that was very concerning. PayPal is a little more consistent. I mean, they're kind of all over the place too, but not as bad as Square. They had negative earnings per share in June of 22. And that was it. And then the latest one was at least 93 cents. The latest earnings per share for Square was 5 cents. So, and then overall increase earnings per share, Square, from the 7 cents to the -5 is a 171% decrease. PayPal, 8% increase. This is in 3 years, so it's not fantastic, but at least it's not negative. Overall winner, quarter versus quarter comparison, Square actually won. But again, look at the variations, insane. Overall gain, PayPal knocked it, out of the park. So PayPal won that. It was a tie comparably, but the real winner is PayPal because, enough said. Look at the earnings per share. Okay, now let's look at the assets. So I have, two tabs, assets, liabilities. So obviously you want the assets to increase. You want the liabilities to decrease. Same period. So if you look at the assets of PayPal, 65 billion versus 8 billion for Square back in September 2020, which, PayPal is much bigger. And then let's scroll fast forward, 76 billion versus 32 billion. So overall increase of assets, Square. But, again, as mentioned, they were a smaller company back then, and they have grown. But 301% increase in assets. PayPal, only 16% increase. But nonetheless, still an increase. Quarter over quarter comparison, Square won this one again. So 7 versus 5. And overall gain, as mentioned, Square won that one. So we cannot deny Square its win here. And when I say Square, they're actually called Block Inc. But they used to be called Square because I think they started out as just that little white thing that you plug in your phone, right? Just a square, and then Block Inc. Changing into Block Inc. And then they bought out all these other companies, which I'll get into in a second. Liabilities, 47 billion PayPal versus Square, 6 billion, and then PayPal went to 56 billion and Square went to 14 billion. So as mentioned, we want this number to go down. They both had an increase. PayPal had an increase of 20%. Square had an increase of 143%. So, and then quarter over quarter, Square had more. When I say gain, it was actually kind of, think of this as a loss because, it's not really a gain. Right? They have more liabilities is not a great thing. So we'll call this a win for PayPal. Overall gain, again, not a win, obviously. So Square has a greater number, so that's not really a win. But so that's another plus for PayPal. Let's go to cash. Cash is king, right? So again, starting at September 30th, 2020, 14 billion versus 2 billion. And then if we look at PayPal, kind of consistent, but it actually went down to 11 billion. Square, at least when it went up from 2 billion to 6 billion. And they had an overall increase of 117% versus PayPal actually went down 18%. So overall gain went to Square, and then the quarter versus quarter also went to Square. Again, the overall gain is really what matters here because you want to see an increase of the positive things like cash, assets, revenue, etc. But Square won this one. Let's see how they did versus the S&P 500. The comparison, I had to go back to November 19th, 2015. That's what Square was able to go back to, ticker symbol SQ. So SPY was priced at 208.55, and it went up to 460.20, which, as of December 8th, that's 120% return. This is without dividends, of course. And then Square was 1307 back on November 19th, 2015, and it went to 69.17, and that's a 429% return. Again, no dividends. Square and PayPal don't pay dividends, by the way. PayPal was 36.19 back in November 2015, and they only went up to 58.94. This was kind of surprising, honestly. But maybe they were at a high back then. I don't know. Only a 62% total gain. And this is what? This is 8 years. So that's a long time, right? But Square won that one, which I assumed they were going to win this one because they are more of an up-and-comer, I'll call them, versus PayPal. All right, who has a better IV? When it comes to premium, when it comes to the yieldmax tickers, you want high IV. So if you look at the top, I have the 30-day, the 60-day, the 120-day, and the 180-day. This is just the average implied volatility. No comparison here. PayPal has a respectable IV, 32% to 39%. That's still good. But Square, they're always in the 40s, 41 to 48. This is solid, baby. I love it. So Square implied volatility, you're going to get a pretty premium. So if the the yieldmax managers, fund managers, handle it right, you would get a pretty premium. And based on the last payment, you did. So the winner here is Square. Both of these own a whole bunch of companies, and I don't even know who half of them are, so I'm not going to list all of them. But the notable ones, I think I put 10 of each. I'm sure there's more. PayPal has Venmo. Venmo, to me, like payment-wise, Venmo's king. You can't compare. Block has Cash App, which is also popular, but I don't know. It's not as popular as Venmo. When you say, I owe you money. Oh, just Venmo me. People don't say just Cash App me, unless I'm living in the wrong area. Maybe they do. I didn't highlight Square, but that's how they started, that Square thing. And I know a lot of businesses use it, and it's pretty cool. So that, respect to that thing as well. PayPal's, all the other ones for PayPal, I don't really know what they are. So I don't think that's good. Maybe I don't pay attention to half of this crap anyway, but who knows? Maybe they're good. And Block, same thing. I know Cash App, I know Square. I don't know what these other things are, honestly. But anyway, I just figured I'd show all the affiliate companies underneath the umbrella of PayPal and Block. And then last but not least, I have the information that I typically store in my yieldmax stock file. So the PP fund was launched September 26, 2023. The SQY fund was launched October 11th, 2023. So around the same time. The underlying stock of PP is PayPal, obviously, and then the underlying stock of SQY is Square. And if you look, right now, PayPal is actually more towards a low when you compare 52-week high versus 52-week low. And Square is more towards a high. So if you're talking about value and possible upside, PP is the one to go to. Current yield, though, it's not even comparable. Here, let me freeze this sucker here. So current yield, 32% for PP. That's still within my respectable range. I want more than 25%. But if you look at SQY, what? Like what? 106%? What? Even if you look at the average yields, because both of these, I believe they paid 2 distributions. Average yield, PP, 35%, really good. But SQY almost double that, 64%. Their current prices, PP is at 19 and SQY is at 24. Wow, I didn't even look at that. SQY is at 24. They probably launched at the 20 range too. So they're killing it, man. 52-week high versus low. They're both towards the high, so they have maintained their value as an ETF. This just shows the average distribution and total distribution. But if you look at just November and December payments, obviously SQY is going to stick out. They had a $2.14 payment. They only had 43 cents in November, but if you look, they were launched almost mid-October. So you can't really compare that as a true monthly payment. And this was the first true monthly payment. And wow. So SQY definitely wins the payment argument. PayPal wins or PYPY wins the better value at the moment. And one thing I wanted to look at too is their websites. And by the way, respect to macrotrends.net. This website is where I get like all the revenue, the assets information, all that. It's pretty good. I have seen some mistakes in the past, but this website I use a lot. So I just want to give them some credit. So Block, their website, just look at it. Awesome. Look at, you can play with the thing. How awesome is that? I mean, that alone, the website is a winner. So, you know, it's pretty cool. And this is all you see: Cash App, Square, Spiral, you know, and you could click on one, you go to investors. I guess that's the investor relation page. Just look, it just looks pretty, it looks cool. So, you know, I just wanted to show what the websites look like. PayPal, I got to be honest, they need an upgrade. This is like old school PayPal looking. I used PayPal for a long time. I used to be in the eBay business, buying and selling phones. So PayPal, I was always using it back in the day. You know, even when I think eBay bought them or they bought eBay, whatever the thing. And then they split up again. But their website has not changed. So they should really consider updating that, especially being that they're more in the up-and-coming AI tech firm. You know, how do you even get to their investor relations? Like, doesn't show you. I don't know, man. It's just not the best. So I think SQY has or Square has a better website. So yeah, that's the comparison. This is not financial advice, by the way. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and for you guys to do your own research. But let me know in the comments down below, what is a better investment when it comes to PayPal versus Square or Block Inc. You know, just as owning those stocks. And then let me know what's a better yieldmax investment, PYPY or SQY. In my personal opinion, if I was to just own the underlying, only for the more upside, I feel like Square has more upside, to be honest. But they also are more high risk, I would say. But if I'm, you know, I got the little gambler mentality, and I don't really buy stocks that don't reward me income. So, but if I was going to, it's going to be the, you know, the big hitters, right? The possible lottery tickets. So I would personally, I would buy Square. But when it comes to yieldmax, that's a tough one, man. For stability, when you buy SQY, you get Square, then I don't feel as comfortable that they're going to be like, no, you look at the EPS, come on, man. Are they going to make it? Are they going to survive? Probably, but I don't feel as comfortable as I do with PayPal, because PayPal's been around and at least they're making money. They're in the positive EPS, but I know people say, yeah, just give them time, right? That means nothing, blah, blah, blah. At least they don't pay a dividend, so that there's that. Because obviously, but you know, there's no earnings to put towards the company. You know, they can't reinvest money back into the company. So if I had to pick a yield max one, I would, believe it or not, I would pick PYPY. I really would. Just because it's a little more comforting. I have enough going on with Tesla and, you know, as more, I'll say, the higher risk, which can go up and down at any time. And right now I'm trying to get a respectable 25% plus yield on, you know, other funds that I trust, that I want to be, you know, safe. I want a safe yield. I don't want 1 month where I'm going to get a low yield, or I don't want to get tanked. But SQY has, you know, it's been outperforming. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's really tough, but I feel safer with PYPY, but I feel like with SQY you get, you know, that upside. I mean, look at their upside. They're like Coney already. So maybe I'll change my mind. I really just, I haven't followed it as much, so maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. But just personally, just thinking, looking at it firsthand, PP, I feel more comfortable, solid overall for the next year or 2 or 3. Although I could be proven wrong, that is for sure. And it has been done many times before. But if you look at this IV, man, you can't deny it. It's crazy. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to do this review. Oh, thank you, Corey, for suggesting this, by the way, in the Discord. Because I was talking about these 2 funds, and I'm like, which one should I get? And she's like, oh, just do a comparison video. I'm like, yeah, I actually should, because this is actually helping me decide. Doesn't mean I'm actually going to buy one or the other, PP or SQY, yet. I'm not just adding any fund. Once I add it, they're going to stay in my portfolio. So it's tough for me to make this decision. But this is the comparison. This is what I compare. This is what I think is important. If I miss something, let me know. If both of these suck, let me know. But if you own both, tell me why, But yeah, that's pretty much it for the comparison. If you enjoyed this content, please click like. If you want me to compare to others, please let me know, and I will do my best. And that's it. I gotta go, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Later.